The story begins as a local fisherman named Matthew is enjoying a relaxing time at Lake Victoria. It is located over an ancient excavation site in Arizona. He's whistling a song with a fishing rod in hand and a cold beer by his side. The peaceful silence is broken as he catches a fish and starts pulling it in, laughing to himself. But in his excitement, he accidentally drops his beer. The bottle splashes into the water and slowly sinks to the bottom of the lake. Just then, the ground starts to shake, and an earthquake shakes the whole area. The earthquake causes a massive crater, and the bottle falls into the crack. Matthew is far from the center of the earthquake, however, the shock is strong enough to split the lake bed under him, tearing it open and forming a massive whirlpool. His boat starts to spin and sink as the swirling water pulls it toward the center, until Matthew falls out of his boat. That's when a swarm of long-buried prehistoric piranhas is released back into the world. The fish violently attack, biting into him as they get their first taste of human flesh in thousands of years. Once the water settles, all that's left of him is his torn, blood-covered body that soon gets pulled down. The scene changes to a spring break in Lake Victoria, and the usually quiet town is suddenly packed with thousands of college students ready to party. Sheriff Julie Forrester is doing her best to keep things under control by dealing with drunk kids, managing reports of a recent earthquake, and handling her responsibilities as a mother. Her 17-year-old son, Jake Forrester, is riding his scooter through the chaos. He then stops and watches his mother arrest an undisciplined college boy who not just destroys public property, but also passes a rude comment towards Julie, making it clear she's not someone to mess with. After arriving at the party, Jake runs into his crush, Kelly. Upon being asked, he reveals that he has come to pick up his little sister, Laura, for her music lessons, while Kelly is just waiting for her ride. Just as they are chit-chatting, Kelly's boyfriend, Todd, arrives with a friend to pick her up. Todd is the main reason why Jake has never had a real shot with Kelly. Likewise, Todd isn't exactly thrilled to see Kelly with Jake either. Before leaving, Kelly mentions a backstage party for a concert and invites Jake to come along. However, Jake turns down the offer, claiming he's stuck babysitting his younger siblings, Laura and Zane. Just as Kelly leaves, Todd's friend makes things worse by mocking Jake and tosses a slushie at him before driving off, leaving Jake embarrassed and frustrated. Later, Jake finds Laura chatting with Danny, a local glamour model in town, to shoot a video with her director, Derek Jones. At first, Jake thinks she's teasing him about his wet shirt, but she turns out to be surprisingly nice. Soon after, Derek shows up. Impatient, he asks his crew to hurry up, who are apparently busy buying sunscreen. When he hears Jake's a local, he tries to convince Jake into helping find locations for their adult film shoot by offering him cash money. Jake agrees to show them around, and a 10 a.m. meeting is set the next day. Jake quickly covers Laura's mouth before she almost rats him out about ditching his babysitting duties. At night, Jake's curiosity gets the better of him, and he checks out Derek's adult website until his mom, Sheriff Julie Forrester, walks in and reminds him he's babysitting the next day. She jokingly mentions that if he does not fulfill his responsibilities, she has the powers to arrest and imprison, and Jake agrees to stay home and watch the kids. Later that night, Julie arrives at the lake after getting a call from Deputy Fallon about a missing person that turns out to be Matthew, the fisherman. A source reveals that he was last seen the day before as he went out to catch some fish and that his boat is still in the lake. While searching for clues, Julie finds out that because of the mysterious earthquakes around the lake, the United States Geological Survey team is planning to send a group of divers to find the cause and check the exact spot where it started. They come across Matthew's abandoned boat stuck in the reeds. Julie moves in to check it out, but the deck breaks, making her fall into the lake. Just as Julie pulls herself above the water, Matthew's horribly torn up body rises up to her shoulder and she screams. Horrified, they pull out Matthew's bloodied body from the lake when Julie suggests shutting down the lake until they can figure out what happened. But Fallon turns down the idea, considering the week is huge for the town financially, with over 20,000 people bringing in business. The next morning, a guy goes cliff diving by himself and ends up becoming food for the piranhas. Meanwhile, Jake ditches his babysitting responsibilities and decides to go with Derek's film crew instead. He gives his siblings some cash and makes them promise not to leave the house and not to attend the phone if their mom calls at any cost. At the same time, the seismology team led by Novak shows up, with divers Paula and Sam. They load their equipment onto Julie's patrol boat, and Novak shows her the coordinates of the center of the earthquake. Julie claims the place is 20 minutes away, and with that, they get going across the lake. On the other hand, Jake arrives at the dock and finds Derek's boat, called the Barracuda, where Derek, along with actresses Danny and Crystal, are the center of attention as they dance provocatively, while Andrew, the cameraman, films the scene. As Jake goes up to the boat, he runs into Kelly, who questions him about his whereabouts. Before he can say much, Derek calls out to him to get aboard. Jake tries to ignore him, hoping Derek will not notice Kelly. But Derek walks over, spots Kelly, and, impressed by her looks, invites her on the boat as well. Seeing this, Jake's clearly annoyed, suspecting Derek might want to involve Kelly in his adult film project. Just then, Todd and his buddy call out to Kelly, trying to get her to join them. But Kelly refuses them after realizing they lied about having concert access. Seeing Jake on the boat just adds to their frustration, especially when he looks at them with a smug grin. Meanwhile, Zane and Laura break their promise to stay home and sneak off in a canoe, hoping to do a little fishing on a nearby island. Back on the boat, Derek is attempting to charm Kelly to get her into his adult film business. Seeing this, Jake seems annoyed but dismisses Danny's idea of him being jealous, claiming Kelly is not his girlfriend. Danny and Andrew talk about Derek's cheap tactics to convince young girls to enter his business. Soon they arrive at a decent spot, and the models quickly jump into the water to show their talent while Kelly is enjoying the sun in a floater. The girls swirl around in the water while Derek and the photographer Andrew record them. Seeing the girls in a provocative way like that, Jake is awestruck. Just then, Jake receives a call from Julie. She initially appears suspicious of Jake's whereabouts as she can hear people talking behind him, but eventually believes him as he reassures her several times. She warns him to keep Laura and Zane out of the lake since there has been some suspicious activity going on in it. Outside, Jake notices Kelly is missing. Worried, he looks around the boat, but she is nowhere to be found. Jake jumps into the lake and swims towards the floater while constantly shouting Kelly's name, but gets no response at all. To his relief, Kelly is on the boat with the rest of the members as she calls out his name to tell him that he missed the best part of the show. On the other hand, Laura and Zane forget to tie the canoe upon arriving at the island, and it floats away, leaving them stuck. Realizing they're stuck, they start to panic, especially about how angry Jake will be when he finds out. Laura tries waving down a few passing boats for help, but no one stops. At one point, she steps into the shallow water to get their attention, not knowing that a piranha is waiting nearby. She accidentally steps on a broken bottle, cutting her foot and drawing blood. The piranha picks up the scent and heads straight for her, but luckily, she climbs out just in time, unaware how close she came to real danger. In the meantime, Julie arrives at the center of the recent quake with Novak and his team. Using digital mapping equipment, Novak shows her a newly opened passage under the lake bed that connects to what appears to be a long-hidden underground lake. Divers Paula and Sam gear up to investigate. Since the passage is narrow and can only fit one person at a time, Sam decides to go first, while Paula stays at the opening to maintain radio contact with Novak above. Novak guides the dive using a digital mapping device, which also tracks their location like a radar. Sam finds out that the passage opens into a huge underwater cavern, almost like a hidden lake. At first, he thinks he's surrounded by tall underwater plants, but as he gets closer, he realizes they're actually stalks of piranha eggs covering the cave floor. Curious, he removes one of his gloves to touch and observe the egg closely. Just then, something bites him, and blood starts to cloud the water. He radios Paula and lights up a flare to get a better look. Sadly, within seconds, hundreds of greedy piranhas surround him. Paula calls out to Sam, but all that she hears are his screams as he's ripped apart. Novak wastes no time as he suits up and dives in after him. Paula also swims down to find Sam, but little does she know that it's a deadly mistake. The piranhas turn on her next. She desperately tries to escape, making it just to the mouth of the passage where Novak grabs her and rushes to the surface. Julie helps pull them out, but sadly, Novak is the only one who survives. Paula's body is barely intact with most of her flesh eaten out while an alive piranha is still holding on to her. Back on the Barracuda, Derek and his crew continue partying on. Derek is busy licking salt and alcohol off of Crystal's body, while Andrew is taking their photos and filming them. Derek then invites Kelly to do the same. She appears reluctant at first, and Jake seconds her, but after some convincing, she licks the salt off Crystal's body and even kisses her. This gives Derek the content he has been looking for. After that, Danny urges Derek to let Jake get some action. After Kelly lies on the bed, Derek puts salt and alcohol on her body. Jake's dream comes true as he gets to lick the salt off Kelly's stomach. Just as he is about to kiss her, Kelly suddenly feels sick and rushes to vomit, but the show doesn't stop. Unfortunately, the crew has no idea what's waiting under the surface. In the meantime, Julie and Novak bring the captured piranha to Carl Goodman, a retired marine biologist who now runs a fish store with his wife. They go to his store and continuously knock the door until he opens up. Upon being asked by Goodman, Novak reveals that they found the fish in the middle of the lake along with two dead people. After placing the fish in a tank, Goodman immediately recognizes it. He compares it to an ancient fossil he owns and identifies the species as a prehistoric piranha thought to have gone extinct over 2 million years ago. He is shocked to see how the species that is believed to have gone extinct has resurfaced again after so long. Novak explains that they found a hidden lake through a crack caused by the earthquake. The next question is, how could it survive for so long, cut out from the surface? That's when Goodman explains that these aggressive predators likely survived underground through cannibalism, which is evident from the scars on their bodies. They hunt in highly coordinated packs where one bite is enough to draw blood, and that blood draws the rest of the swarm. At this point, Julie's main concern is to get rid of the piranhas, but they don't know how. Goodman suggests they are killing machines, but they are still fish, so you can either catch them or kill them. On the other hand, Jake is having a great time filming a topless model parasailing in the lake for Derek's adult content. Derek is busy getting high and flirting with the models while Kelly is sick in the bathroom. Just then, Jake spots Laura and Zane, stranded on an island and waving for help. He stops filming and insists on rescuing them, but Derek, high and irritated, refuses since he's too focused on his video. Jake tries his best to convince him before revealing that his mom is the town sheriff. Worried about the trouble he might get into, Derek quickly agrees to take action and save the kids. On the other hand, little do they realize that the girl who was parasailing has been attacked and her lower half is torn away by piranhas. Her half-eaten body hovers over the lake, terrifying the onlookers. Meanwhile, on the beach, Sheriff Julie Forrester, Novak Fallon, and Deputy Taylor Roberts are desperately trying to clear the lake, warning people to get out immediately. Roberts even fires shots into the air to get their attention, but completely unaware of the danger, the crowd thinks it's part of the fun and jumps into the lake. Back on the Barracuda, Jake manages to rescue Laura and Zane from the island and scolds them for sneaking off. He brings his siblings inside the boat. Derek, now drunk and high, rushes him and keeps insisting on heading to the canyon beach for the main event. Inside the boat, Jake assures Kelly that they're going home as soon as possible since she's not feeling well. In the meantime, Zane and Laura look down through the glass-bottomed floor, only to see some mysterious-looking fish swimming under them, unaware they're actually deadly predators. Suddenly, the boat stops as the propellers get tangled in the reeds. Tension rises as Derek blames Jake for everything that's gone wrong. He assaults Jake before shoving past Andrew, trying to take control of the situation himself. Meanwhile, panic quickly replaces the party vibes when a girl lying on a floater becomes the piranha's first target. Chaos erupts as everyone rushes to escape the water, desperately trying to reach safety while the deadly swarm invades the lake. Julie and Novak rush to help, pulling people onto their patrol boat. Many make it to a nearby floating stage, but with so many people climbing on, it becomes unstable and eventually flips, sending everyone back into the water and straight into the piranha's mouths. Novak jumps onto a jet ski with a shotgun in hand, speeding through the lake and rescuing as many people as he can. Julie, thinking fast, fires her taser into the water, electrocuting a few of the fish and even causing one to explode. Meanwhile, Todd jumps into a speedboat, but in the chaos, he runs over several people trying to swim to safety. Things go from bad to worse when a girl's hair gets caught in the boat's propeller. As Todd keeps pushing the engine, her scalp is violently torn off. Moments later, the overloaded boat flips, and everyone around it is dragged under and eaten alive. Derek somehow manages to get the Barracuda moving again, but he crashes into some rocks, shattering the boat's glass bottom. Water fills into the cabin where Laura, Zane, and Kelly are. Thankfully, the kids escape just in time, but Kelly gets trapped in the corner. At the same time, the crash throws Derek, Crystal, and Andrew into the lake, and within seconds, a swarm of piranhas surrounds them. Crystal and Andrew are killed almost instantly while Derek tries to fight them off. With Danny's help, he's dragged back onto the boat. However, he's badly injured and missing chunks of flesh. Danny covers him with a towel, assuming he may already be dead. Meanwhile, Kelly is still trapped below deck, surrounded by aggressive piranhas. Jake talks to her through a glass window, trying to help her find a way out. Back on shore, the chaos continues. People are still trying to escape the water, and in the chaos, two men carrying an injured girl accidentally tear her in half. Deputy Fallon makes a brave last stand, blasting piranhas with his shotgun as survivors rush to safety. When he runs out of ammo, he rips a rotor from a nearby speedboat and uses it like a spinning blade to fight off the swarm. But it's not enough. He's eventually overwhelmed and eaten alive by the piranhas. As Julie helps tend to the injured, she gets a call from Jake. He's overwhelmed with guilt about putting his siblings in danger, and his voice sends a wave of panic through her. Without wasting time, Julie jumps onto a nearby speedboat. Seeing this, Novak leaves his jet ski and rushes to accompany her. Soon, the kids catch a sight of Julie and Novak approaching and feel a glimmer of hope. Novak grabs a rope, and Julie tosses one end to Jake, asking him to secure it to the deck of the Barracuda. Julie carefully crosses the rope above the piranha-filled water as Novak keeps the engine running to hold the rope tight. Once Julie reaches the boat, she reunites with her kids, but there's no time to relax. Kelly is still trapped below deck, and the glass window is too narrow for her to climb through. At this point, Kelly is terrified about what might happen to her. Julie decides that the kids and Danny should cross the rope to the speedboat first, as she plans to return for Kelly afterward. But Jake refuses to leave Kelly behind. He blames himself for bringing her in the first place and insists on staying until he can find a way to get her out. Julie reluctantly agrees as she heads back across the rope with Zane, Laura, and Danny. As they cross the rope, piranhas start jumping out of the water, desperate to take a bite. The weight of 4 people causes the rope to dip dangerously low, causing one piranha to jump onto Danny's hair. She is then dragged under screaming, and within seconds she's eaten alive. Zane and Laura barely make it onto the speedboat when the metal bar holding the rope to the deck comes loose, sending Julie swinging into the lake. Luckily, the bar gets stuck on another piece of the boat, holding her just above the water. Novak steps on the gas, tightening the rope again so that Julie can climb up safely. Meanwhile, Kelly is trapped under the deck with piranhas circling. She fights them off with a frying pan as best she can. Above, Jake unties the rope from the deck and secures it to himself before hooking it to the speedboat. He grabs Derek's injured body and throws it into the lake as bait. The distraction works, and this gives Jake enough time to reach Kelly. She's shaken but incredibly relieved to see Jake. Jake tells Kelly to tie 2 flares together while he opens the valves on the boat's propane tanks, letting the gas pour out. He radios Novak, telling him to start pulling them out exactly 10 seconds after he gives the signal. Jake holds Kelly close, kisses her, and counts down. On 3, they dive into the water. Novak struggles to start the engine as the seconds tick down. Meanwhile, Jake lights the flares and throws them toward the leaking gas. Just as the piranhas begin swarming toward them, Jake shields Kelly with his body. Finally, Novak gets the engine going and hits the gas, pulling them away from the sinking boat just in time. Moments later, the flare hits the surface of the water near the leaking propane. It causes a massive explosion that destroys the boat and takes out a huge swarm of piranhas with it. Jake and Kelly are pulled out of the water, stunned but alive. As they catch their breath, Goodman calls Julie to tell her the bad news. Turns out, he has studied the sample they brought him, and the piranhas they were fighting have no mature reproductive organs, which means they are still young. Hearing this, Novak asks about the parents' location. The movie ends just as an adult piranha, easily the size of a shark, jumps from the water and swallows him whole.